George Russell was left fuming at the FIA after what he called a baffling lack of penalties at the start of the Mexican Grand Prix. The Mercedes driver tore into the steward's decision not to punish any of the 5 drivers who cut across turn 1, calling it inconsistent and unfair. For Russell, the biggest offender was clear. Max Verstappen's lightning start took him well off the track through the runoff between turns 1 and 3, yet no penalty came his way. Russell felt Lewis Hamilton had been treated far more harshly in similar situations. I struggle to understand how 3 drivers can just cut the first corner and continue, he said. It punishes the drivers who have driven correctly. And if you can risk everything with no downside, that is what drivers are going to do. It has always been the case here in Mexico, people cutting turn 1. So I was frustrated. Then I got unlucky with Max and Lewis when they came together. Max went off the track, came back on, I was on the outside and lost 2 positions. So in the end, just a very bad day. Verstappen and Charles Leclerc were the first to bail out across the runoff. Leclerc briefly grabbed the lead by skimming past both Lando Norris and Hamilton off track, but only surrendered the place back to Norris, not to his Ferrari teammate. As chaos erupted into turn 1, Verstappen swooped around the outside of Norris, Hamilton and Leclerc, with the 2 Mercedes hot on his tail, Russell diving up the inside. But Verstappen went even wider than anyone else, rejoining neatly between Norris and Hamilton. He later allowed Leclerc back through, but crucially stayed ahead of both Mercedes. Russell's race only got messier from there. After losing ground in his scrap with Verstappen, he slipped behind Mercedes Jr. Kimi Antonelli. The British driver grew increasingly agitated as he urged Mercedes to let him pass his teammate on lap 35, convinced he had the pace to hunt down the cars ahead. The Brackley outfit, however, chose not to intervene, telling both drivers they were free to race. Moments later, Russell was asked to ease off and manage his front brakes for a couple of laps, prompting a frustrated response. "We got a Ferrari and a Haas ahead. We can fight for the podium here." By lap 38, tensions inside the Mercedes garage were simmering. Team orders still hadn't been enforced, and radio chatter between the pit wall and Russell made it clear that patience was wearing thin. "Do you want me to let this McLaren pass?" he said sarcastically. "I'm happy to give the position back to Kimi if I can't overtake Behrman. We are just compromising both our races here, guys." As if the internal battle wasn't enough, McLaren's Oscar Piastri began looming large in Russell's mirrors. His engineer, Marcus Dudley, warned him that rear surface temperatures were sky-high, forcing the Briton to juggle tyre management while fending off the charging Australian. "Marcus, a car much quicker than ours. I'm trying to hold position. I've got much more pace than Kimi here, and we can fight for a podium. I'm happy to give the position back if we don't achieve it." The Briton was finally allowed to be let through to chase Ollie Behrman, but in his opinion, it came too little too late. When he couldn't make the move, stick, and later lost another position to Oscar Piastri, he reluctantly let Antonelli retake the spot. Still, what really grated on Russell was Verstappen's ability to keep position after going off. He argued that those opening corners decided everything about his race outcome. "I was in the DRS train behind Kimi when he was behind Ollie, and I could see he was struggling. He was sliding, and I felt good. I thought I could have attacked Ollie, who had no DRS, but I think we left it too long. We spent 6 or 7 laps before we decided to invert the positions, and by that point my car, my brakes, my tyres were overheating. Ordinarily, we work as a team, and we're in a fight for P2 in the championship, and I could see Kimi was struggling to get past Behrman. I was in his DRS train, so when my tyres were in a good place, I was ready to attack, and ultimately, we left it too long, and by that point there was no need to swap positions. Either do it straight away, or not at all." Marcus ultimately is conveying a message. He's not the one in that position making the decisions. So we need to sit down and talk as a team. Ultimately, I'm not battling Kimi in a championship or a fight. We're battling Ferrari and Red Bull for the runner-up spot in the championship, and we finished P6 and P7, and it could have worked out differently. I'm more confused at how 3 drivers can clip the first corner and just continue with no penalty, Max and Lewis both went off track and Lewis got the penalty. Max came on, pushed me wide, no penalty. That would have changed the race. Verstappen, on the other hand, couldn't care less about George Russell's uproar. The reigning champion shrugged off the controversy with trademark nonchalance, insisting the incident was a non-issue. It's not my problem. It was just very hectic in a lot of different scenarios, and I felt like I didn't do anything wrong. But while Russell wrestled with rising heat on track, a different kind of pressure was cooling off behind the scenes. After months of speculation and tense negotiations, George Russell finally signed a contract extension with Mercedes. And he's revealed a clever clause designed to safeguard his seat from the looming shadow of Max Verstappen. Russell's future had been a hot topic earlier in the season when team principal Toto Wolff openly confirmed that Mercedes had held exploratory talks with Verstappen about a potential 2026 move. Although Wolff admitted the chances of signing the Dutchman were slim, he didn't rush to extend the contracts of either Russell or rookie Kimi Antonelli, keeping the situation intriguingly open-ended. Verstappen later doubled down on his loyalty to Red Bull for 2026, but with his long-term future still uncertain, speculation about a possible switch to Brackley refused to die down. Now Russell has taken matters into his own hands. In an interview with The Telegraph, the 27-year-old revealed that his Mercedes deal includes a performance-triggered clause, one that guarantees an automatic renewal for 2027 if he meets specific targets agreed with the team. It is something I haven't actually said publicly, but the deal is, if I'm performing next year, we have a specific clause that if I reach a target, we will automatically renew for 2027, Russell said. So my seat for 2027 is in my hands. So I'm not being strung along here. We're not going to be in the same position as we were 6 months ago. If I perform, and I don't want to go into details, but if I perform, then 100% I'll be staying. Everything works out for the best. I actually wanted to sign the deal back in October 2024, but the deal I got today is substantially better than what I would have got had I signed it then. So yeah, sometimes I think you just have to trust in your ability, and I feel I'm only getting stronger. That said, George Russell isn't closing the door on sharing a garage with Max Verstappen one day. The Briton says he'd have no problem teaming up with the reigning world champion, even if they're far from best mates, insisting that successful teammates don't need to be friends, just fast and focused. It's a surprising olive branch, given their rocky history. The pair's relationship has been frosty ever since a string of on-track clashes and verbal jabs, most notably after the Qatar Grand Prix when Verstappen branded Russell two-faced, the Mercedes driver fired back by calling the Dutchman a bully, sparking one of the paddock's more memorable feuds of the year. Still, Russell maintains that personal tension wouldn't get in the way of professionalism. If Mercedes ever did manage to lure Verstappen away from Red Bull, he says he'd welcome the challenge and the chance to measure himself directly against one of the sport's fiercest competitors. Speaking about their dynamic in the paddock, Russell explained, "We don't really speak, but we don't ignore each other. I don't lose sleep over it. And for sure, he doesn't lose sleep over it. So it doesn't bother me one single bit. Life is short. We're all adults. We all learn from these experiences. You don't need to be best mates as teammates. Senna and Prost weren't good friends, and they still finished 1-2. Lewis and Nico Rosberg 1-2. Obviously, Lewis and Fernando Alonso is a notable exception. But Lewis should have won that year. So, yeah, Max is an incredible driver. There's no denying that. But that's why I would relish going up against him. We all believe we're the best. So, what do you think of George Russell's comments on Max Verstappen getting away with a penalty-worthy incident? Does he have a point, or is it his dislike for the Dutchman that's doing the talking for him? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the latest in Formula One. Thanks for watching.